we are at the Modern Facilities version 16. My name is Jeff Lynch. I'm a product specialist at SP Marketplace, and I also specialize in PowerBI dashboards. The video is going to be a walkthrough of the PowerBI dashboard that we've developed specifically for our Modern Facilities workspace. To get there, we've put a handy button right here on the home page which says Dashboard. And when we click on the dashboard, we go to a page. What we do is we take the dashboard that we've developed and we embed it on a page. What this allows is that everybody in the company that has permission to this page can then come in and view the dashboard. From a technical point of view, we also have options to set this dashboard up to refresh multiple times a day, once a day, or once a week, depending on your usage and how much you need. The typical installation would have probably 3 or 4 updates per day. So it's not live data, it's near live data. When we look at this first page, and you're going to notice down at the bottom here, we have a little thing that says 1 through 6. Not all pages are required, of course. It depends, again, on how you intend on using the facilities module. But the work order overview is the first page. And across the top of the work order overview, we have 4 what we call slicers. These are things that allow us to narrow down the information that we have, because this is tracking all of the data that we've ever put into Sharepoint. So the first thing we need to do is look at the dates. You'll notice that there's a date hierarchy here. And if I push this little up button, that it just gives me all of 2025. If I push the down arrow, it allows me to select specific months. Notice that below, as I select these different months, it changes the display. If I click again on all of that, or if you unclick it, it gives you all data. The same thing happens when we go to the assign to. Who did we assign these work orders to? Was it to Ross or Jeff, or did no one get assigned to it? As we click on these different buttons, it changes the displays below. And when we unclick it, it goes back to all. The facility or building. And this is, again, one of the things that if we have several buildings, notice that it's a hierarchical structure based on the new facilities structure, where we have facilities and buildings that are related to each other. If it's blank, there are no blank buildings, of course, but there are blank headquarters facilities. There is the blank facility. In other words, there's work orders that are blank and they don't have the building filled in. But when nothing's checked, everything is in the report. And then the last one is for status, and status allows us to select. If we want to just see all of the unassigned work orders, we can do that, and we can see how many of them there are. We can see that there's some errors here too. One of the things about the Power BI dashboard is it gives you an incredible view into the data and whether or not it's being updated or not. If we have something that's unassigned but it's closed, how did that happen? And that's something from an internal administrative point of view that you'll need to figure out. But this gives you the tools that allow you to look at that and say, what's up here, what's up there. So on this first page, when we start looking at the graphs, we have the work order overview. So the first thing we want to know is how many closed work orders and open work orders do we have right now? And this gives us percentages, open and closed. It also shows us by who they're assigned to, who has open work orders and who has closed work orders. And then when we get down to here, we have the categories of what kind of work orders do we have. And this tells us by category whether they're closed or open. As we finish this page and we go on to the next page, we look at the detail page. The detail page gives us very specific information about each one of the work orders that are outstanding. And we can go in here, and once again, when we talked about the slicers on the first page, those slicers also affect every other page. So we do all of our slicing or filtering on the first page, and that then impacts all of the subsequent pages. So we can see here what all of the different work orders are that we have. We can see what the status is. We can see what the category is, when it was closed, when it was created, who it's assigned to, where it is. And also a new thing in the modern facilities is work order cost. If we're going to track costs, then we keep this column in here and it automatically will sum up all of our stuff. Down here at the bottom, we have a total number of work orders and then a number of closed work orders and a total cost. As we move on, we got some other pages that are going to be important for you to see. This one is for work orders by requester. In some organizations, we have certain people that request a lot of work orders because of their position, and that's their responsibility. In other organizations, we have people that request a lot of work orders, and that's something that we need to pay attention to from a management point of view. So we want to know who is requesting these work orders. And as we can see in this example, Jeff Krausman requests a lot of work orders that he also works as the facilities manager on. So that's why it looks like the same data. However, what we're looking at here is who asked for the work order versus who the work order is assigned to. And again, we get into some detail down here so we can see a little bit about what's going on, the number of work orders and the work orders by requester. As we keep going, we now want to look at by facility. We want to see some details. We want to know, why is this facility getting more requests for certain kinds of maintenance than other buildings or other areas of the company? And it's possible that it's totally legitimate, and it's also possible that it's something that needs to be addressed. So once again, the Power BI dashboard becomes a tool for management to address problems that they can then improve the process of their company. As we move through this a little bit more, we've got some more pages that talk about work order stats. Work order stats is a really fun little deal that we put together where we break down the number of days that a work order has been open. So we have 21 work orders that have been open for over 14 days. So somebody's going to want to know about that. Another thing about a lot of this stuff is that when you click on it, you'll notice that it changes these graphs. So that's context on the page, so that you can then further filter. So if I want to see building maintenance, and I can say, hey, look at that, building maintenance has been affected up here. So there's a lot of different places you can click in these Power BI dashboards that has an impact on the data in other graphs and other charts. The nice thing about this is it tells us how this is a kind of a scorecard page where it's telling us how good we're doing at closing out those work orders. It gives our facility staff incentive to get a good report card, so to speak. So as we look at all of these details, the next page is a little bit more fun. We're going to now give ourselves a report card on how our staff is doing. How long does it take to close work orders, and how long have work orders been open? This gives you an idea of how things are going. And as a part of this, you can click on building maintenance over here, and you can see how many of them are still open, how many of them were closed, and how long it took for them to get closed. We can also see that in a graph format with the pie chart. All of this to say that we can also then go back to the first page and filter, and let's just say that we want to see how a specific person is doing with their work orders. Now we go to the report card part. Page 5, we can see that there's 8 of them that are still open and over 14 days old. There's 2 that were closed, but it took over 14 days. So obviously this individual is taking a lot of time to either close their work orders, or they're not closing their work orders even though they finished the work. And so there's a way we can then use this as a report card to address situations that may be a problem. We can also identify things that are just a part of the business, and we can understand that's the way it is. On the last page, this is another optional page, by the way, we have what we call the time spent report. The key to this is whether or not you fill in the time spent part of the work order and whether or not the facility staff is filling in all of that data. But what we can find out from this is by category how much time has been spent, and by facility how much time is being spent, and by the person that it's assigned to how much is being spent. We can see that Jeff Krausman has filled in his with 33 hours, and it added up. We're right now filtered on just Jeff. So when we go back to 1 and change this to everybody, then we'll get different data on page 6. This is one of the optional pages. And key here is if you're not going to track time, then we would just hide that page. The key here, the entire thing is customizable to add additional statistics and data for your business, and also to hide things that you're not going to be using. We have a clear understanding that every business uses facilities a little bit differently, and we've designed this product to accommodate your business, not to force your business into this product. And I want to thank you for listening to this short video on Power BI dashboards and the new modern facilities module that we have, and we look forward to talking to you again very soon.